Welcome back to another Dramatron video. I know that I have only just uploaded a short, like 3 days ago. It's way too soon to be uploading again for this channel. But in today's video, we're doing a review on DirectingPete's late game map because it's been like a bit since I did the review on the season 1. The late game's been out for a bit, and well, it's a map that deserves a review, as Pete's still actually updating it. Therefore, any criticisms I give could actually be put into the game. So with that, I'm going to begin my review with stuff that I actually like about the map, like stuff that isn't just the POIs themselves, because they'll be in their own section. The first thing I have to say is good about the map is that it's good for a single player experience. It's small and compact, so you don't have to feel like you're slogging your way across the map, which is good for both multiplayer and single player. So like you can have a PvP won't take too long, but also PvE won't take too long. And with PvE, I've got to say, the fact that like the IO guards are on the map is a pretty cool concept, which should probably be used in more BR maps, like mini BR maps. But it's great that Pete has begun to use them, and I will be speaking a bit more about the IO guard soon. The second part is that there's like a variations in the map. It's not just all one like biome. There's a desert there, they've got a water area, the forest, the city. It all comes together to make a pretty nice map. And there's a bit of snow in the map too, which is like, you don't, like, it's a really small area, so you don't think about it much. But the addition of snow just varies the map that slight bit more. And in such a small area, it's amazing to see something like that. It's like shocking that Pete's managed to pull off such a varied map in such a small place. It's like some massive maps struggle to put so much variation in. So it's amazing to see that Pete's done it. And with his varied map, he's also managed to make fun and unique POIs, which I'll be speaking about in not too soon, not too far away. But the 2 dies is like great for the experience, as you don't feel too heavily punished the first time you die, because well, there's many issues that can occur in the map, and it's great that Pete gives you the ability to come back once more. It's like, just in case you fall into a glitch, or hell, you just like get shot at really early on in the match, it gives you a second chance to play in the map, which is just quite cool. The frequently updated, which is pretty nice. It's not like constant updates, but it's frequent enough that like the map doesn't get stale and boring too soon. And like, yeah, it's active. It's got an active player base, which is amazing. Like I've even managed to come into games on Europe at a random time in the day, and I've managed to find people to play with. It's really difficult to find a Pete map with European players on it, let alone a Pete map with European players, which is also being updated. That's a lot to take away from it. It is also great that they've removed like quite a few of the tiny POIs, like Crystal Cavern, Lighthouse Lake. Those POIs were too small to really be classed as POIs, so it's just nice to see them gone. Like, we don't have to acknowledge them, we don't have to think, oh, I need to drop there at some point, or else I haven't dropped every POI. It's just a great thing. Also, the loophole on the map, immaculate. I honestly like the loophole. The sideways guns, class. Like, the loot they can just get, the shotguns, just everything about it is pretty good. It's really fun to play on the map with the loot pool. And also, there's also good terrain for movement with like the vehicles, and also you can just get around without building, which is great. I love a map where I don't have to build because I don't have builds enabled. Like, it's great when I can just get across the map without having to build the Eiffel Tower just to get from point A to point B. My final pro of the map is that it's got a cool use of vending machines, which I will come on to later in the negatives, but it's great to see vending machines in the map. because it just gives you a bit more diversity on what you can pick out as your weapons. You can decide on certain weapons that you use. But now, it's on to the negative side, and I'm going to begin with the negatives, with the fact that there's too many IO guards in one place. Now, I did put IO guards in positive, that I'm thankful for them being in the map when single player, but I don't really like how many of them spawn at Trapper. They do spread out during the match, but how many of them spawn just in Trapper Towers leads it to not being the most fun experience to go near there. It just feels too much. It feels like you're getting slapped over the face with a fish, basically. That's the only way I can describe the feeling of going to Trapper Towers on single player Pete's late game. Pete really needs to like spread them out a bit more, which is like one way of fixing it. But also just like having less of them, because there's too many in one area. If there was some up in the corners, some in Trapper, that would make it a way more enjoyable experience, because you both get to play with the IO guards, like they'll be there wherever you land, but also you won't feel concentrating away from the center. So you'll actually, because like there's too many at the center currently. My next issue with like Pete's current map is the respawning in Storm. Like I know Pete probably can't fix the respawn location, but what he can fix is like the spawn immunity, because it's really lacking. We need more spawn immunity time so you can get out of the storm, so you're not on like 90 health when you get back into the battle, because that's the last thing you want when you're playing on a really small map, is lower health than everyone else. It's like, I can understand like Pete probably didn't like think of that because of his own reasonings, but it's something that I find issue with, because it's like terrible for single and multiplayer experiences in my opinion. In single player, like the IO guards can kill you much easier, and also you're struggling against the storm already, and in multiplayer you're gonna get killed by other players much more easily, which is not what you want when like you've just respawned. And my next issue is gonna be about how the vending machines do not use gold, and the reason that I'm not a fan of this is because like using materials, it's like quite a bore. Like, when there was the gold system, it was varied on what you could do. Opening chests gave you passive gold, killing players gave you gold, like destroying things gave you gold. It was like really fun, just go around collecting gold in specific ways. It was something that I really enjoyed in the previous maps, and I do hope that Pete brings it back in this map at some point. Another issue that I have on Pete's map is that it's hard to tell what is a POI and what isn't. For example, when I was first playing, I couldn't tell if Crystal Cavern, if like Lighthouse Lake, if they were POIs or not, because they do pop up as POIs on the minimap, but not on like the actual map that you can pull up. So it's really difficult to tell if they were POIs or not. I'm assuming that they're not, and that's why I've said it as like a pro that they're not. But like the fact that he's kept Lucid Lakehouse as a POI brings in that like feeling that they might be POIs, and it's just really difficult to tell that they aren't or are. So like if I did get that wrong and that they are POIs, this is why. And yeah, my final negative about the map is that there's not enough gnomes. No, you might find this a bit silly, but like the gnomes in Pete's maps, they bring character, they bring life. There's only like 5 gnomes on this current map. There's one in the docks, and there's 2 inside the new sushi POI, and then there's 2 like inside of Vicious Valley. They're the only gnomes that I've discovered on Pete's new map, and it just feels really like empty. And this is meant to be a fun new map. It's not. I don't enjoy the feeling of emptiness that comes from this new map with the lack of gnomes. So in my opinion, Pete needs to add in some more gnomes. And well, yeah. Okay, to begin with my reviews of the POIs on Pete's map, I'm going to begin with everyone's favourite POI, high top houses. You know, my opinion on high top houses is that it's not on the map anymore, which is a quite big inconvenience for people who drop out high top houses, seeing as they will now have to land on a different map. Next POI that I'm going to talk about is Trapper Towers. Trapper Towers, it's so much like the original POI, which ain't a bad thing in my opinion. I enjoy the aesthetics of the old Trapper Towers. The new one was cool with all the futuristic stuff, and I'll talk about that whenever I get around to reviewing the Season 5, Season 6, Season 7 maps, etc. But for now, the original one, it was really good, and it's even in the same central position, which is amazing for its location. It's like, the location that it's at, it leads it to be typically in zone. It allows players to drop them or land them or stay there more, and overall fight them more. So it really feels like a Tilted Towers-esque POI, much like it sounds to be inspired by. Next POI that we're going to speak about is Willowed Woods, which is like the previous Trapper Towers. It's much like its OG design rather than its redesign, which for Willowed Woods, I ain't a fan of it as much. I enjoyed the new Willowed Woods much more than I enjoyed the old Willowed Woods. That's something I have to state. The new one was far more central, far more enjoyable. It's like the cabins were much more there were more cabins, the cabins weren't in the corner of the map, and like, it just gave it so much more fun, and I'd aspire to be the new one. I would not aspire to be the old one. But yeah, it's also usually out of zone as well, so which like is because of its positioning being pretty bad at the corner of the map. A corner of the map POI only really works if that corner is close to the centre, but this one, it's just too far out there, and also with all the trees and stuff, you struggle to get into zone as much from that location. But it is great that it contains old POIs which are no longer around, such as Crystal Cavern, because like, them two being too close together was a real big issue that I had in the old maps. Next POI is Rainbow Rubik's, and it's like its original design once again. Many of these POIs that come back from old maps are quite a lot like their original design. It's got like a cool tree in the middle, which I've always liked, but now, I don't know if it's on Pete's end or Fortnite, but it being a chrome tree, honestly sells the idea much more for me. It's also got good mobility because of the launch pad on the roof. POIs on the edge of the map need a launch pad in my opinion. You can't, and like, it needs to be an open one that you can get to, because like, the launch pads at POIs and the edge of the map can really help mobility, and that's what they need most. It's also, it's typically out of zone like all the other edge POIs, but it doesn't really matter as much because of that given mobility. Next up is Vicious Valley, and well, Vicious Valley is not just like its original, it contains all three versions. It contains the Wild West, the Pale Blue, whatever it is. I've never understood how to speak that word. I'll never understand how to speak that word. It also contains the more militaristic base feel they ended up with in the final iteration. But it's like multi-layered, which is great for like aesthetics and all that. It also like has great like movement, so you can actually get up to these different layers. And like the militaristic base part is actually used to get up 2 different layers in one area, which is actually pretty good. It's a much bigger POI than most others, which is actually really nice in my opinion, because it gives it more feeling. It feels much better. It isn't a tiny little house on top of a hill. We'll get to that later. And honestly, it's like, it's the only issues I've got with it really, is that it imprisons gnomes. I am a man who believes that they need to be free. Hashtag they did nothing wrong. Hashtag free my gnome. And yeah, that's what I had to say about Vicious Valley. Next up is the POI, which I am least happy about really. It's Lucid Lake House. It shouldn't be a POI on this map. It's only one building, and if Pete got rid of Crystal Cavern and Lighthouse Lake and Magic Mountain, I think he can also get rid of Lucid Lake House as a POI, because it's like really tiny, and it's much like the original, which was also really tiny. It's got like an okay location on the map, and it's like high up, so you have the high ground, but nothing else really stands out about it. It's just really small POI. Up next is the newest POI on Pete's map, Sushi Stadium. And this is a really fun looking POI, because it's a football pitch, well, football stadium, with sushi stands in it. It's built out the Coliseum. Those three aspects together make such a fun and appealing POI in my opinion. It's also got like, it's really close to Trapper and all that, so it's near the centre, even though it's where High Top Houses used to be, which was an edge POI. Because that's near Trapper, it just feels much better. It also feels like its own location, which was a massive issue I had with High Top Houses, because High Top Houses felt like it was just part of Trapper Towers, but now it feels like its own fresh location. It doesn't feel like an attachment to another POI. It feels like its own POI. So I am really happy for that. It's also got like an issue that it does cause is that it corners the island a bit, so they're like, it's a bit weirdly shaped, and I hope Pete does like try and curve it out a bit in future updates. But like, it's a fine POI. That's the only issue I can think of, and that's not the POI itself. It's like the island itself. Next up is Disco Docks, the POI that came with this map, the only other POI unique to this map. And well, it's got a cool concept, because like it's like all on the ocean. It's not actually like a building, it's not on the island, it's its own little floating area, and it's like a city with like houses and shops and all that, but it's on the water floating. It really brings the aspects of like Chapter 2 Season 3, which was a great season in many people's eyes, including my own. And like, it's got like, it really feels like a great POI. It's like, it might not have the best location, being on the ground level with everything else raised up a bit, but that doesn't really matter because of how great it is for like a POI. It may have like a lot of sprays, which is cool in concept, but it can get a bit jarring in reality. Like, a few less sprays might work in its favour. Not delete all sprays, but like a couple less every here and there, because it does feel a bit overwhelming seeing all them sprays. But truly, it does feel like a party there. It really does feel like a party. And like, some people might drown because they might fall underneath the rafts and all that, but that doesn't really matter because it is a great POI in my opinion. One of the best. I forgot to mention this whilst recording the actual audio for this video, but I do need to give the map a rating, as I did with the previous map review, and it's not, I would not say it's like the same level as Pete's like Season 1 map. And that's the reason I'd say that is because it's like too new at the moment. There isn't much there. Like, it's a bunch of previous POIs, and whilst Pete's first season might be the same POIs we've had for a while, when it was made they were brand new, and that's what I hope to see in the future of Pete's late game. But until we see a massive amount of new POIs, I do have to dock its score a bit. But it's still a good 6 out of 10. It's got some great stuff and it's got great potential. I just don't like, it's not got enough unique POIs yet. It's got like Vicious, which has got some great stuff to it. It's 3 POIs in one, which is great. It's got 2 fresh POIs, but I hope to see the other POIs get developed and expanded throughout the years and the weeks and the months and the days and the seconds. But yeah, back to what I actually recorded. I just had to throw this in quickly. Well, this is the end of the video. Unfortunately, there is nothing else to really say. I've said everything that I need to, and well, yeah, this with the end of the video. I've hoped you enjoyed it. I hope Pete has watched this video so he can see my opinions, and hopefully he can like empathise with some of them and bring them into reality, especially the one about like the gnomes. Please, Pete, I need more gnomes. And yeah, end of the video. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, comment down below if you agree, disagree, wanna throw me in a ditch, whatever you want to say in the comments, just comment. And yeah, go watch some more of my videos. I have at least 2 others. And goodbye.